This Coast to Coast Entertainment Network program is brought to you by Beside Me Bracelets. Our bracelets are handmade for any occasion. Use the promo code Coast to Coast for 15% off. Visit their website at besideme.com. Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry. With 24-hour shopping available, use the code 160920 and show her some love, like she showed us. Reaper Apparel Company, a commitment to live your most authentic way every single day. Visit reaperapparelco.com for more information and a look at all of their apparel offerings. And by Good Day Embroidery, your local source for custom embroidery, screen printing, and more. Log on to gooddayembroidery.com for more information.
Hello and welcome to another edition of C2C Rankem. I'm the host, Big B, along with my fellow co-host halfway around the world, Tim Hendricks. How you doing, buddy?
You know, not bad considering the last 2 days.
Which we can touch on quickly here because I know, so
but other than that, good. Had a good birthday on Thursday. Got some news the night before, at basically almost 4 hours after, 5, 6, 7 hours after this show last Wednesday. Can't really say anything. When I find out that the one person heard the news, I will tell the news. Other than that, good news. Don't get me wrong. Good news. It was great news. It's unexpected. It was unexpected news, but great news. Other than that, how are you, Big B?
I'm doing good. This time of year, you talk about good news. I'll give out. Well, I guess my good news is you guys know we're wrestling fans, and I follow a good promotion here, and they finally announced their big show the last couple weeks. A Grand Slam for Mid All-Star Wrestling. So that'll be November 1st. I'm happy. My son's happy. They've already announced a couple key signings. Layla from Lake Cool will be there. And for our generation, probably one of Ric Flair's biggest rivalries, the Great Muta, will be there. So definitely can't wait for that. But, you brought up news over the last couple of days. Let's start first with the unfortunate passing, accidental drowning, it sounds like, on a family vacation of Malcolm Jamal Warner. Theo from the Huxtable or Cosby Show. Tim, what's your thoughts on, or your memories, maybe favorite show he was in or something like that?
There was a show. I loved him. Don't get me wrong. I loved him on the Cosby Show, but he did a show later. I want to say he did a show called The Resident.
There we go. Sorry about that.
That was an Amber Alert. But no, he did a show where he played a doctor called The Resident. I thought he was amazing. I loved it. Getting the news like we did on Monday was a bit of a kick in the chest because I think we've said this a lot, and it seems like we said this a lot lately, that we seem to be losing. We keep losing a bit and piece of our our childhood picked apart at this point. But yeah, that was a kick in the chest. That was an absolute kick in the chest.
Yeah, no, I mean, growing up watching the Cosbys, I think we've done a show on, top families. The Cosbys was definitely in the top 3. I think we also did one to where, we wanted to be, or if we could be, a part of what family, Cosby was up there. And, two shows episodes of the Cosby Show that comes out to me all the time is the one where they're younger. I think it was in the first season when Theo's having troubles passing classes and studying, and he's sitting with Bill Cosby, and he's like, "Dad, but you're a doctor, and I love you for that, but I don't want to be a doctor, and I just wish you would love me for that." and I think that was also the same episode where Cliff was trying to teach him about money and that you did a good job and stuff. So that episode, and then there was an episode later where again it was a money episode, and they took all of Theo's stuff out of his room and turned it into like a little like, oh, we're gonna play a you're gonna have to get a job and pay the bills, and so they made it turn into like you walk into the house, it was a big apartment, and you had to you go up to the room and try to rent the room and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot of things, but that was a big one. And then of course yesterday, Ozzy Osbourne passed away. You broke the news to us. Again, I'm not that type of music buff, but with that style, but I can respect what he brought to the music industry. So yeah, I get the following this stuff. But Tim, what's your thoughts on Ozzy?
Yeah, Ozzy. We all knew Ozzy was sick. Because he had gotten the news about Parkinson's. And the funny thing is, M had told me that on July 6th, he had gotten news that they figured he could go for another 10 years.
Wow.
He didn't make 16 days. But I broke it to you, but it felt like I felt like I was stabbing my brother in the back. Because my brother is, I can't say the word was, because my brother will always be a Ozzy Osbourne Black Sabbath fan. He tried to call me out on it and couldn't find it. I'm the guy that does homework when it comes to something like this, because you don't want to bring up the bad news. And I grew up being a country music fan, but I was also a heavy metal fan, and it just kind of this one, another piece of your childhood just goes away. And it's, I guess I was expecting it, to be honest. I was expecting it, especially after his farewell performance. Yeah. I just wasn't expecting it so quick.
Well, what was it, 2 days after his last show?
No, so almost
2 weeks after his last show.
2 weeks after his last show, and it was like, it was rough. It's rough, but hopefully there isn't a third one, because these things always come in threes.
Yeah,
I'm afraid to look at my phone.
We'll see. Hopefully not, but
yeah,
you know how the world works, and and it's sad. We were talking backstage, with the whole Kiss Cam thing. It's sad. It took, hopefully, sad thing. It took 2 deaths to get rid of that posting of those Kiss Cams thing. So
yeah.
But anyways, let's get into it. While we're here, we're breaking down the our NFL predictions. This week we're going to do the AFC South and NFC South. We'll go through the records that we compiled by using the website playoffpredictions.com. I think that's what it's called, right?
NFL playoffpredictions.com.
Yeah, so go there, pick your winners, see how you do. It tallies the season stat or season records, and then you get to do your playoffs and stuff like that. So, Tim, let's go with the South, your division. It's going to be interesting to see what your thoughts are on the Colts. And Morning Tailgate will be coming back. I think we're shooting for evening edition, so it'll be Morning Tailgate. Probably call it like Morning Tailgate at night or something. But all right, Tim. So what's your predictions for your South? Your number 4 team.
My number 4 team. I think this comes without any fanfare. You draft number 1 this year. You're looking at possibly drafting number 1 again next year. It depends on how well they get, if they can get Cam Ward on up to speed. If they follow the blueprint that the Commanders did last year, then I think there's a possibility. From everything that I'm hearing from Titans camp, is the fact is he's got great leadership ability. He's getting in there with his teammates right off the bat. But I don't think it's going to be enough to get them from sniffing at a top 5 pick again. I've got the Titans at 3-14.
Ooh, ouch. I mean, yeah, it is going to take a lot, and see what they can do. But my number 4 team, I think this is going to be kind of the last hurrah if nothing happens for their quarterback. But I got the Jacksonville Jaguars at 5-12, and I think a lot will have to do. Like I said, if they don't get close to playoff or improve, Lawrence might be on his way out. So, your number 3 team.
Well, my number 3 team, I like your number 4 team at number 3. It's all about, that defense has been good. It's just that offense seems to be taking steps back, left, right, center every season, and I just don't get it. Don't get me. Hopefully this year Indy can beat Jacksonville in Jacksonville, but because it's been since 2012, and that's kind of not fun to do. But my number 3, I've got the Jacksonville Jaguars at 6-11.
All right. Well, I like your 4 team. You like my 4 team. I like your 4 team. I like it at number 3. I think they are going to take a step up, but I think a lot of these wins I think are going to come within the division. And of course, depending on the other weak teams they play. But I got the Titans at 7-10. So your number 2 team
gives me hope that you and I might have the same record for my team. Yeah, you think the Cleveland Browns have a terrible quarterback room, can't figure it out. Look at Indy. It's we got the tight end that we wanted. We got the we should have got the year before with Brock Bowers, but wasn't so lucky. But I've got them sneaking into a playoff spot. I really do. And I think it's going to be that Kansas City game that's going to be the tiebreaker. Because I remember I got Kansas City at 9-8 missing the playoffs, and I've got Indy at 9-8 making the playoffs as the 7 seed.
Okay. Well, my number 2 team's going to miss the playoff at the 10 seed. They are at 9-8. I got the Houston Texans at 2nd.
Ooh.
I just think I just think a lot is going to go with CJ, and I just think a lot's going to be within the division. I think we talked about this backstage that this division is going to be won by how many games you can take out of the division. I think so.
Right.
So your number 1 team.
Well, my number 1 team. Hope they're going to. I think they're going to take a step back because they let major pieces of their offensive line go, and you kind of hope that that offensive line starts gelling right now because they're starting preseason, they're starting training camp right now. Let's hope. I hope that you're right more than I'm right. But I've got the number, I want to say the 3 seed. It might be the 2 seed. Yeah, the 2 seed. I've got the Houston Texans at 12-5 at the 2 seed. But I got but because the AFC is always going to be, it's going to have a lot of people in it.
Yeah, see, I lost a lot of faith in the Texans last year because they made so many moves last year and they couldn't pull it together. And then, like you said, they lost a lot this year. But my number 1 team at the number 4 seed, I got them at 9-8, and that's the Colts. I think this might be another one too where you're talking about quarterback, and is Richardson the guy? Is he is this his last leg? I mean, hopefully he checks his ego. So
yeah.
So all right, so let's go to the NFC. I got the struggling Panthers. I don't think it's a big shocker, but I got them 2-15, the 16th seed out of there. I just think right now they just need to figure out their roster and, figure out what they want to do. You're number 4.
I don't like your four. I don't like your four team. I like your four team at number 3, but I don't have your. I think I like your number 3 team at number 4. The big problem I think with my number 4 team, who are they going to have play quarterback?
Yeah,
that's the key thing. Are they going to have Tyler Slow, or are they going to have Spencer Rattler? If I had to put money on which is the wiser decision, I think Tyler Slow is a better decision than Spencer Rattler, because I think Spencer Rattler is just, I don't know. He's a walking pine cone for all I care. They lost so much during this offseason. It's crazy. I've got them. Let me double check, but I've got them at 3-14. I've got the New Orleans Saints at 3-14.
Yeah, I got them a little bit better at number 3. I'm with you. It's the quarterback play. It's the losses. Where can they get a quarterback? I mean, I know Atlanta's kind of sitting with the quarterback they don't know what they're going to do with, or doesn't want to be there now. Tennessee, they got Will Levis.
Levis is out for the season. Levis is out for the season.
Oh, that's right. Levis is out for the season. That is right. I didn't remember that. All right, so that's out. So, anyways, but I got the Saints at 5-12. They're gonna sneak into a few wins. Of course, they'll probably beat the Panthers. Panthers will beat them. 5-12. You're number 2 team.
My number 3 team. I'm like you. Sarge, I'm sorry, but you need a different team. This team sucks. And when you got the Carolina Smurf trying to throw a football behind the line, it's kind of sad. I'm rooting for the kid, because I really am. But it's when you gave up, when you decided to let Christian McCaffrey, you trade Christian McCaffrey off the team. My number 3 team is the Carolina Panthers at 4-13.
The thing is, we bring up the Carolina Panthers trading McCaffrey. They went on a winning streak then after, and I think they missed the playoffs by the game, or they made it by a game. I can't remember.
They missed it by a game.
Yeah, so everybody's like, "Oh my God!" They knew what they had to do. Now they go get some pieces, and now they take. So, my number 2 team at 6-11 is the Buccaneers. I just don't know if they got it anymore. Mayfield, I think he's kind of ran out of his little magic. Evans, Mr. Consistent, he's getting up there. So, hopefully I'm wrong on that record, but that's what I see. So, your number 2 team.
My number 2, I've got the other team. I've got them missing the playoffs too. They just missed the playoffs last year by what? They missed the playoffs by what, 2 games last year?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's still Tampa's division for a couple more years, but when you've got that you got Michael Penix, we're going to see what Penix can do now. You've got don't get me wrong, you've got a great young staff there. You added some great players to the defense, drafted James Pierce. I think that kid's going to be a stud. I think that kid's got Defensive Rookie of the Year written all over him. But I've got the Atlanta Falcons just missing the playoffs at 9-8.
All right. Well, I got the Atlanta Falcons, the 4th seed, under 500 at 8-9.
Wow.
I'm with you. They got a young staff. Penix, can he do it? Can he lead the team? Is the distraction, if Kirk Cousins is still on the roster, going to play a factor? But that team's young and ready to go, but we'll see. So your number 1 team.
My number 1 team, I want to say the 4 seed as well, because I did put the number down for that one. Yep, the 4 seed. So we at least we know that the NFC South is going to have the 4th seed team. But yeah, I've got Tampa Bay at 11-6. I think the thing that's going to push them over the top to win that division is their actually they're outside the division record schedule, because if I remember right, it's kind of a weaker schedule. And it also helps that you're playing in the NFC South, where basically everybody's going to beat up on everybody.
Yep. All right. So let's get into the 5 biggest losses for the AFC. Player-wise.
5 biggest losses. Let me pull that up. Cam Robinson.
Okay.
I think this is one of those. No, I'm sorry. Losses. Sorry. No. Okay. This one pisses me off. Now that I look at what I've got, you had this guy who started getting to become a name for himself in Indy. You got him lined up right up alongside of Zaire Franklin, and then you let him go. This one you should have paid. This one's going to hurt because you should have paid him. Instead, you let him go to the Houston Texans, so we get to see him twice a year. So this is going to suck. And this is the guy who was like third on the team in tackles behind Nick Cross and Zaire Franklin. My number 5 is EJ Speed.
Ooh, okay. All right, my number 5 is a guy who, if he can stay out of his own way, I think could be one heck of a receiver, and pair him up with the young guy in CJ Stroud. I thought was going to work last year. It didn't. Injuries played a factor too, but I got Stephon Diggs leaving is, I think, going to be a big factor there. Your number 4.
My number 4 is an edge rusher from Tennessee. This guy was basically the captain of the defense. He saw the writing on the wall. He understood that he was going to be on a rebuild team for at least the next 3 years, and decided to jump ship to go to New England. I've got Harold Landry from the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I got another Titan on there. And the thing is, they lost 4 linebackers in this draft or this offseason. So, Kenneth Murphy Jr. along with the other 3 linebackers, I mean, that's hard to replace because, you got 3 linebackers. Again, you only carry maybe 3 backups. So, you lose 4 in. I mean,
and the other thing is you're in a run heavy division. You got Mixon, Taylor, and Fournette, or not? What's his name? The kid in Jacksonville.
ATN.
Yeah, at the end. Yeah, you need those guys. Yep. You really do.
All right, you're number 3.
My number 3 is, we talked about him last week when we talked about the San Francisco 49ers, about them needing a solid backup. I think this was huge. I wouldn't have let him go. I wouldn't have let Mac Jones leave Jacksonville.
Yep.
But you did, and now you're probably going to pay for it, because I don't think they've got a solid backup in Jacksonville.
No, I don't recall. Well, I went with another backup. I went with the Colts backup, Joe Flacco. I think he just, with the experience he has and the uncertainty you have with Anthony Richardson is one thing that I think Joe Flacco brought. And I think letting him walk was kind of not the right move. You're number 2.
I really don't think it was the right move, but that goes without saying. Well, you brought up Indy. I'll bring up Indy too. But this one kind of hurts. But we've got his replacement, Batonio, as the center. There was 2 years ago there was talks that he was going to retire because of a family situation, because he lost a child, and now he's in Minnesota. This one, and I can't stand Will Fry, so this isn't even about Will Fries. You can have Will Fries at this point. Call it a trade for Daniel Jones at this point. But Yeah, I've got Ryan Kelly, the center, going to the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, to lose the middle piece right there. I mean, that's key. You know, we've
But
seen a
I
lot of
think, and the funny thing is that Batonio kid is Bordolino. Sorry, I don't want to get his name screwed up. When he came in for Kelly last year, I saw flashes of him possibly being the Robin to Quentin Nelson's Batman. I think these two are going to be there for a while.
Yeah, but we've seen where quarterbacks struggle with get new centers or centers get new quarterbacks, so it'll be interesting. Right. But my number 2 is your number 3, Mac Jones leaving Jacksonville. I think that was a mistake. I mean, yeah, granted. I mean, I don't want somebody to comment, well, Mac Jones ain't that great of a quarterback. You're right, I get it, but he wasn't top 5 pick for because I mean he's got skill, just need the right system. You know, you traded for him. It helped out a little bit. You know, so you're number 1.
My number 1, we brought up. I want to say on the NFC East side of additions, you don't let this guy. This is. I brought it up when we're talking about you let people go in Houston, and you're trying to make sure your quarterback stays upright, who's in his 3rd season, and you're trying to make people do things that are right. I'm still completely flabbergasted that the Houston Texans let Laramie Tunsil go. And I think they traded him, which makes it even worse. But yeah, I don't get that. That one confused me. But yeah, Laramie Tunsil should have never left the Texans.
Yep. I got the Colts here at 1. Their big edge rusher, Dale
Adengo.
Yep.
Dale Adengo. Yeah, that one hurt too.
Yeah, that one I think is going to be big. So,
well, that was that reminds me a lot of when we let Bobby Okereke go to the Giants.
Yeah. All right. So let's get to the AFC. I am going to start off with my number 5, Jordan Fuller, the safety. You know, you just I scribbled. Carolina, Panthers. You know, a team that struggled. You know, you can't lose that hard hitting safety in the back there because that's the last. You know, typically that's the last person that's going to catch up on that run game or get a receiver. So, Fuller. So you're number 4.
I've got the guy who was supposed to replace Shaq Barrett in Tampa Bay. Now he's going to Cleveland. So, you know, basically the Cleveland's defense gets better. I've got Joe Tryon-Shianaki. It's how again, it was amazing to see that just happen. It was how do you let that happen?
How? My number 4, we talked about the Saints. We talked about the quarterback problem. I know this is a retirement, but I think Derek Carr is going to be missed there. I mean, granted, he was coming up. He retired, but I think his leadership and his knowledge in that quarterback room is going to hurt. You're number 4.
I've got New Orleans. New Orleans is going to come up a lot in this list. You've already got a depleted defensive backfield, and then you let this kid go to the Giants. I've got the cornerback. Golly, Paulson Adebo. You know, it was again. You don't know half the things that are going to happen, and then you basically don't replace them with diddly squat.
Yep. My number 3 is a receiver. You got a young quarterback in Penix. You want him to get good with receivers. He was there last year. You know, you think they might have made a connection, but Rondell Moore leaving Atlanta, I think might hurt a little bit.
That was a little bit. I think that might hurt a lot.
Well, now actually, Ritter. Ritter could have been put on there. I forgot about that one, but
oh yeah, Desmond Ritter. Yeah.
All right, you're number 3.
It was nice that you brought up the Atlanta Falcons to segue right into mine. I've got basically what was the linchpin of the defensive line for the Falcons. To see him actually leave and go to a place that's probably going to win you at least the division in Washington. The Commanders know how to do it, where they lose a guy and then they turn around and replace somebody. My number 3 is the defensive tackle for the Falcons, Grady Jarrett.
All right. My number 2 is the offensive lineman for the Tampa Bay. Again, you want to keep that front 5 solid on both sides of the ball, and you lose a piece, and hopefully somebody can fill in. But Robert Hansey.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah,
that was
you're number 1.
My number 2. Number 2. I think you have them at number 4.
Okay.
4. When we kind of brought it up with the New Orleans Saints, we don't know who's going to be the quarterback in New Orleans. I get this is retirement, but it's still a loss. I've got Derek Carr.
All right. For me, my number 1 for Atlanta. When you lose a guy that can put pressure on the quarterback, hopefully it can happen, or replacement, but they're hard to find. But edge rusher Lorenzo Carter, I think is going to be a big loss on that defensive side.
Well, let me go ahead and just finish off the New Orleans Saints, considering what happened yesterday. My number 1 is the safety for New Orleans, the Honey Badger himself, Tyrann Mathieu.
Oh yeah, that was a big one. I forgot all about that. That would have been number 1. Yeah. So Saints did lose a little bit there. So all right, let's go to the AFC side. Now we picked on the losers. Let's pick on some people that might help their teams in the new faces here. So go ahead and what you got?
Well, I get that you guys decided to sign and I'm going to say Minnesota because I know you guys signed a center, you guys signed a guard, but you let a tackle walk.
Yeah,
I thought that was a little weird, especially that tackle. I know you had him on a year. I think you picked him up and you got him in a trade from the Jaguars in 24.
I think you're right. Yeah,
and I thought that was a nice piece for you guys to have, but I really don't want to see that guy in Houston. And now I got to sit there and worry about an offensive tackle. Especially you're replacing Laramie Tunsil with this guy, and I've hated him in Jacksonville. I'm going to hate him in Houston. Yeah. My number 5 is Cam Robinson.
Yeah, but again, being in Minnesota, they feel that the offensive linemen like they got now are 10 times better. So it'll be interesting. They need it. Speaking of linemen, I actually got 2 here because both teams kind of did the same thing. They're struggling. What are we going to do? Well, we better bolster up our offensive linemen because we got 2 young quarterbacks. So I got Jacksonville, Tennessee. They both went out and signed 4 offensive linemen, 2 guards, and 2 tackles. So hopefully it works out for them. And I think it'll be a big impact to keep those young guys up. You're number 4.
My number 4 is a guy who spent time in Minnesota last year because he decided the Giants wanted to kick him off their team and not have any fun. And right now the rumor is that he's fighting for the number 1 quarterback spot in Indy. I don't like this guy, but then again, I don't like my quarterback room. But my number 4 is from the Minnesota Vikings, Daniel Jones.
My number 3, well, I'm going to go with you and the Colts. I think they need to bolster up their DBs a little bit. I think they did that with Charvarius Ward.
They did it. They did it with both guys, with Bynum from and Ward. Yeah.
All right, you're number 3.
My number 3, you want to start putting weapons around a young quarterback. We kind of talked about this guy last week. I think you had him on your list for players lost. Not a bad guy to sit there and work with Cam Ward. I think this is a great move. I think this is a great move on Tennessee's part. My number 3 is the wide receiver from Seattle, Tyler Lockett.
Yeah. My number 3, you had him at 4. I think Daniel Jones is gonna. I think Giants fans are gonna think we're drunk, thinking that he's gonna be an impact on the Colts, but you just never know. Just to have somebody in there with the veteran status that he does. So
here's the funny thing is I'm gonna jump off a cliff on this one. You give us a quarterback who's a game manager. We're playoff bound. We are. Yeah. You give us Brock Purdy because of the weapons that we got between Alex Pierce, Josh Downs, Tyler Warren, Michael Pittman Jr., Jonathan Taylor. We're a playoff team. We are. Yep. We just don't have the quarterback.
Yep. And they showed it when they were 33-0 at halftime against the Vikings a couple years ago.
Who was that quarterback that we had? That was Matt Ryan, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was Matt Ryan. Yeah.
Oh, that's the reason why we got rid of him.
But you're number 2.
My number 2. This I went via draft on this one.
Ooh.
I think this is huge. I understood why the Jaguars did it. You have to make a splash. You have to make some waves. If he can be anything like he was in college, I think it's going to be interesting to see. My number 2 is Shedeur Sanders. No. Sorry. Great part with there. Travis Hunter.
Right team, wrong player.
Right team, right college and wrong player. Travis Hunter.
My number 2, I really like that one. That was, but my number 2, you brought him up at number 3, Tyler Lockett. A nice young receiver to go. That had a couple of years.
I know the Tennessee Titans are our boring team. I get that.
Yeah, no. You bring in Lockett, a young receiver that has some years under his belt with the young quarterback that's coming in. I think that's going to be huge. You're number 1.
I went back to the draft again, and it's the Tennessee Titans. You brought the quarterback up. I brought the quarterback up with Tyler Lockett. Yeah, I've got Cam Ward at number 1. I think that's going to be big. It just depends on how Tennessee coaches him.
Yep. My number 1 is a running back. Texans are really adding weapons, and now you add Nick Chubb. I mean, that might be huge out there. So.
Yeah, Nick Chubb with Joe Mixon.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go to the AFC side. I like the return team. Again, it can be a big factor. I brought up a punter last week. I'm going to bring up a return guy / receiver. Jamal and Newell for the Atlanta Falcons. I think is could be an impact, especially on the return side if you can, get those holes and get some good field position.
You're gonna love me because 3 of my 5 are draft picks.
All right, go ahead.
And I'm going to start off with an Atlanta draft pick. I kind of basically said it when I were talking about Grady about the Atlanta Falcons. Like I said, I think this kid's going to be a stud. I think. Do I do it? I'm not making that prediction until morning tailgate about what I think this kid's going to do. But my number 5 is James Pierce.
He's going to be. Yeah, he could be a stud there. I got the Panthers picking up a solid defensive player. If he plays right and, maybe he could turn into that stud that they're looking for. Patrick Jones, the edge rusher.
Where was he from?
I didn't write it down. I forgot where you're going to pick him up from.
You said Okay, you said Carolina. Okay, I didn't. Okay, I have a Carolina on here. That's why I had to.
All right.
All right, but he's not at number 4. I think Tampa Bay's worry is how long is Mike Evans going to be in not Tampa, but in the league at this point. And I think Tampa did the right thing by going to get that Ohio State wide receiver. I think he's going to be huge. I think he's going to become best friends. He's going to become best friends with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, so he can get on the same page with Baker Mayfield. I've got forget that name, Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one because at number 3, I have a receiver from Tampa too, and it's actually a re-signee. I think keeping Chris Godwin in the group, in the fold, because like you said, Evans is getting up there. Yeah, he's Mr. Consistent, but you still need the veteran presence up there plus young talent. So you're number 3.
My number 3, you brought up Rondell Moore. He was in Carolina. Yep. You gotta replace him with somebody, and the Carolina Panthers was smart enough to go and decide to draft one. I've got the wide receiver out of, I want to say he went to Arizona State. No, he went to Arizona. You can think we did a draft show. But I've got Ted McMillan at number 3.
At number 2, I think it was a good thing that the Saints brought in a receiver, but again, who's going to throw the ball? We'll see how Brandon Cooks handles it, but Brandon Cooks going to the Saints, I think.
Isn't that technically wasn't he originally at one point
he was there, but then went to Dallas and then came back.
Yeah, and then came back. Yeah. That's what I thought.
You're number 2.
In my number 2, I think this was a great signing, especially to get somebody out of San Francisco. We were talking about it last week when we were talking about San Francisco losing all these people on the defensive line. He's going to be a great mentor for James Pierce. I always have this and then I put it down. I've got Leonard Floyd going to the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh yeah, I'm big going. My number 1, and I think these guys did it right, because if you look at their signees, they signed pretty much 2 people at every position, I think it was. And I'm just going to go with the Carolina signings this whole offseason, because they're like, you know what? We're going to bring them in. So if we can afford them, we're bringing them in. So I think just Carolina, just as a team, signing the quality of players. We'll see what kind of quantity they get out of it.
Right.
You're number 1.
My number 1 is the guy that's going to be the edge rusher that's going to replace the Joe Tryon Shionika, the kid that got out of the Philadelphia Eagles, just win a Super Bowl, and then next thing you're going to the next place that's going to pay you a lot of money. I've got Hassan Reddick going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
All right. So now let's get into the top 4 stories for the AFC. So your number 4 story you are going to look for in your division.
My number 4, I've got the Tennessee Titans. Have they built a team around? Let me read. Why? Have they built a team around Cam Ward to help him be successful early? I think they drafted well. I think it's just meshing, and we'll see what they do. I think it's not only what they built around them, but if they're going to do the playbook, like, again, we bring up the Commanders because the Commanders did it right, and see how that works out.
Yep. My number 4 is Jacksonville. Is this the last stand for Trevor Lawrence? I mean, is this about time where they don't do it? They start dismantling and going for another rebuild. So we'll see. Number 3 for you.
I've got the Jacksonville Jaguars, and my question is, and I think this is a lot of questions in Jacksonville to begin with. How many snaps is Travis Hunter going to play on both sides of the ball? And because you gotta worry about it, because if you use him a lot on offense, then your opponent's offense is going to just pick right at the guy.
Yep.
I think you got to limit those numbers, and I think if they limit the numbers, I think he's got to figure out what he's going to be. Is he going to be a quarterback, cornerback, or is he going to be a wide receiver?
Yep. Well, and that's the thing too is, is it one of those where you're going to play him when he's hot? If he's just if he's just scorching you on offense, you're going to keep him there, limit him on defense. But again, on the flip side, if he's scorching and doing what he can on defense, do you limit him on the offensive side? So it might be a game by game basis, but like you said, I think they got to kind of narrow it down and be like, okay, you're going to be here 90% of the time, or you're going to be on this side 90% of the time. So
right,
good one. My number 3 is I'm going with the Houston Texans and CJ Stroud. Are they going to get over the hump? Are they going to be healthy? Are they going to live up to where they were a couple years ago? Your number 2.
My number 2 is the Indianapolis Colts. Is the Anthony Richardson experiment over? He can't stay healthy. I think that's the reason why you bring in Danny Dimes. He can't stay healthy. He calls a timeout. He looks for that still blows my mind that he's looking for a tap out on a third down inside the red zone. It just blows my mind. And I get that, but then you go to a press conference and say, well, I was tired. No. You just lose. And then you expect your fans to have confidence. You expect your teammates to have confidence, your coaching staff to have confidence, and then you just no. I'm about done with it. I'm hoping that we don't play for Arch Manning, but who knows?
Yep, my number 2 is that same question you have. Is AR healthy? Is the experiment over? Can he get past his ego, like you said, taking a timeout and pulling himself out of the game for a play or two because he was tired? You're in the NFL. You're living out everybody's dream. I mean, only a handful of people could do it, and you pull that. So he's got a lot to show his fans. So you're number 1.
I've got the Houston Texans. Did the Houston Texans do enough to protect CJ Stroud after losing and giving away pieces that you should never have given? I get that. I respect the Nick Chubb signing because that takes pressure off your quarterback. You've got a 2-headed monster that can rush for 1,000 yards, each one of them in Mixon and Chubb, and that's great. But you've got no Tank Dell for the season because he's out because he's still rehabbing an injury. You don't have Stephon Diggs because Diggs is Diggs. Did you do enough to not only just to protect him, but did you do enough to make him succeed?
All right, mine is the Titans, and did they find their guy this time? I mean, 2 years ago they drafted Levis. Rookie year was okay. Sophomore year was not the greatest, and now they go out and draft another guy. So, did they get their guy? So, all right, let's go to the NFC. And for me, what are the Saints doing? They haven't really gone out and signed a quarterback, signed people. They just, it's like they don't have a game plan yet. They want people to come to them, and they're not making the effort. So I'll be interested to see what happens there. You're number 4.
I've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I kind of alluded to it when I was talking to Mecca Egbuka, but have the Buccaneers found their heir apparent to Mike Evans and Egbuka? I think the kid's got talent. Problem is he's got that Ohio State moniker that goes on him. There have been few and far between Ohio State wide receivers that have been amazingly good. I'm taking Chris Carter out of the mix, but it's like an Ohio State quarterback and Ohio State wide receivers. They're just they're iffy.
Yep. My number 3 is with Tampa Bay. Can they get over the hump? With Baker Mayfield, Evans, those guys are getting up there. Is the time closing to make a run? Can they make a run? I mean, so I'll be interested to see what Tampa Bay does this year. You're number 3.
Well, my number 3 is your number 4, the New Orleans Saints. My biggest question is this going to be the first team that goes 0-17?
Ooh. Wow. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, the strangest things happen.
Well, yeah, Cleveland and Detroit both went 0-16.
Yeah.
And they had more talent than this team does.
That is correct. You are right. My number 2, Carolina. Can they find the right 52 guys? 22 on each side to start. I mean, I think that's their biggest question right now is, who we got to play with us. So you're number 2.
My number 2 is the same Carolina Panthers. My thing is this the year that Bryce Young, I like to call him the Carolina Smurf because he's short and he wears blue. Is this the year he makes the big step? It's because this is a question. It's like you look at the other quarterback that was in his draft and you go, CJ Stroud didn't have a problem. I get it. Houston and Carolina, I get it. But
Will Levis, I mean, that was a 3-headed monster draft class there.
Yeah, that was a huge draft class. And I remember Will Levis dropping all the way out of the second round, and I was kind of jinxing that he might go to Minnesota. And that didn't happen. But yeah, he's got to make that step. He's got to make a huge step.
Yep. My number 1, we're going to Atlanta, and is Penix ready? Is he good? Can he take the keys and drive this with Cousins there looking over his shoulder, I guess, too? So you're number 1.
I've got the Atlanta Falcons too. My question is this updated pass rush, is it going to be enough to push them into the playoffs? Because I'm not worried about the offense. I'm more worried about that defense. And you lose somebody like Grady Jarrett, you kind of hope that they can pick up the pieces, and I think they did. And everybody's going to go back and watch the show and go, but you got them at 9-8. I got them at 9-8, but they were what, 8-9 last year.
Yeah.
So I've got them winning one more game, but it's that defense has got to really got to step up, and if they do, they're going to put the pressure on Tampa like they should.
Yep. All right. So that's our predictions for the South of the NFL. Of course, next week, our next show, we'll do the North. So let's get into our blind 5. So, Tim, give me my topic. And again, we don't know the topics. We don't know what our predictions are. So,
okay. I had to look this up, and then I find out that there's a list, and this is the 5. I've got the top 10 most favorite flavors of ice cream in the United States, but we'll do the 5. So I'm not sure if you're a big ice cream fan. I am. I get myself in trouble a little more times than I should. So, but the first one we'll do is strawberry.
I'll have to go 5 with that one.
All right. We'll go cookie dough.
Ooh. Personally, I love cookie dough.
I do too.
Does the United States love cookie dough? I'm going to go number 2.
2. Okay, the next one is chocolate.
See, that's where the United States, I think a lot of people will be like, no, I just like chocolate. So I'm going to go number 1 with chocolate.
Okay. Butter pecan.
4.
Okay. And your last one is vanilla.
I can see them picking vanilla too as number 1. Vanilla will be number 3. So what do we
All right.
How did the US select this?
The US selected cookie dough number 5.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Number 4, they had butter pecan.
Okay.
Number 3, they had strawberry.
Okay.
Number 2, they had chocolate. And number 1 had vanilla.
Well, okay, so I can put the argument that vanilla can be number 1 because you can add a lot of things.
Yeah.
And same with chocolate, you can add a lot of things. I mean, cookie dough you can't really add. Strawberry, you're not gonna really. Well, I guess you could add chocolate frost or chocolate syrup on there and stuff like that.
But the other 5, they had at number 6 they had cookies and cream.
Okay.
Number 7 they had mint chocolate chip.
Okay.
Number 8 they had regular chocolate chip.
Okay.
9 Rocky Road.
Yeah, Rocky Road. I haven't had Rocky Road in years.
I can't do marshmallow. And number 10 they had peanut butter cups.
Well, see, that was a better 5 than.
One of a better argument than the other one.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Since we are wrestling fans, and with the we talked about Buff Bagwell backstage a little bit. I want to rank his top 5 tag team partners.
I can only remember 3.
All right.
I know I think we've had this conversation.
Yeah. So number 5, he only did it a couple times, but Lex Luger.
Three.
Okay. One of his first tag team partners, Too Cold Scorpio.
Yeah, I don't remember that one. I'll be honest, I liked him with Too Cold Scorpio. I'm going to say 2.
All right. Minnesota's own Scott Flash Norton.
4.
The Patriot.
5.
And then, of course, Scotty Riggs as American Males as number 1.
I to this day, I will fight people. I still think that's the best tag team he's ever been a part of.
No doubt. Him.
I thought you were going to put in Scott Steiner, and Scott Steiner would have been 5 to me. I couldn't stand it.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
I remember the Patriot, but we had this conversation before, though. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think Scott Riggs and him were. I mean, that was gold there.
Oh, it was WCW's version of the Rockers. If you looked at it, it looked like Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels, and then you've got Marcus Bagwell, and Scotty Riggs. I thought they were written as a complete as if they. I wanted to see that match. I don't know how many times I wanted to see WCW and WWF go against each other. I always wanted to see the American Males and the Rockers.
Yeah, that would have been a good match. I think that would have been good. So, but yeah, I had it Riggs, Norton, the Patriot, Too Cold Scorpio, and Luger.
I never was a big fan of. I was never a big fan of Scott Norton. That was during his WCW. That was during his NWO days.
Yeah, and that was the thing with him and Scott Steiner too. That was an NWO type thing,
right?
Him and Luger, I think, like I said, just teamed up for a couple matches,
right? Who was Scotty Norton? Scott Norton's former tag team, because there was because it was what was it, Fire and Ice or something? Scott Norton was Ice Train.
Yeah, it was Ice Train. It was Scott Norton. Ice Train. Yeah, that was a beast of a team.
That was a beast of a team.
All right. So with that being said, Tim, your final thoughts.
I'm not looking at Facebook today because if I do, every time I've looked at Facebook the last 2 days, I've gotten bad news. I'm excited for the season. I'm hoping. Bear with me on morning tailgate because the only person on the show that is going to be dealing with the morning is going to be me because it's going to be like 5 or 6 in the morning for me. So I might be a little punch drunk, but then I've got the written excuse that it's 6 in the morning. He doesn't know his picks.
Yeah,
but I'm excited. I see the St. Paul Bears finally got their schedule up.
Yep, St. Paul Bears got the schedule up. I'm reaching out to Coach Cody today. Had a family thing last week. We were supposed to do a show, but yeah, they got their schedule up. September 20th, I think, is their home opener. I am looking to take that day off to be there. But yeah, I'm excited for the season. Excited to get back into football. Next week we'll be off. So the first week in August we'll break down the NFC, the North,
The North.
and then break down our playoff, and then hopefully we'll be set and ready to go for a morning tailgate. Hopefully, yeah, we don't get bad news, and hopefully Tim can share his good news next time we meet up. So with that being said, we'll see y'all next week or in 2 weeks. Rankem, have a good one.